Is being a traveler different from driving according to law? And then and you touched on
No.
it. But I'm trying to simplify it because I'm telling I'm gonna be cursed out tomorrow. You know, if
Right.
you're an agent, I'm an agent. We some agents now.
Yo, we've
Right.
been
Right.
agents.
That's okay. Listen, I'm okay with that. I don't really care what people call me because it only matters what I answer to. And I don't answer to agent. So,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
that
So
it means nothing to me.
me neither. I'm good.
But to speak on that, you know, it just takes us right back to we all do have inalienable rights. We do. I give them that. That's in the Constitution. That's natural law. That's whatever you want to call it, right? We get that. The problem is it's not an absolute right. It's just not an absolute right. You don't get to do it at the expense of anyone else. You don't just get to do it because you declare it so. It's not absolute. Every right has conditions, so to speak, and those conditions are predicated on security. Think about every right that you have that might be abridged in any way. It's abridged for security purposes. When you go to the airport, you take your shoes off. You have to.
That's
It's your
right.
right to keep your shoes on. Turn your ass around. You're not getting on this plane. Go ahead and exercise your rights, right? But if you want to get on that plane, then you got to surrender that right. You got to take off your shoes. You might take off all your clothes. You got to take off your belt, jewelry. Right, and so you are subjecting yourself to personal invasion because you want to get on the plane.
That's right.
The same is true if you want to drive this car. If you want to travel in this car while you are behind the steering wheel, whether you are engaged in interstate commerce or not, and half of the people have no idea what that means, but we're going to come back to that in 1 second, right? Because the Commerce Clause is so far inexpensive that they could probably include your traveling ass, right? Because they've included anything else in the Commerce Clause. Think if you know anything about anything from Violence Against Women Act, that was predicated on the Commerce Clause, to safe schools, to the Mann Act, in which you can't go from one state to another with a prostitute, right? You can't travel for the purposes of having sex from one state to another. That's interstate commerce. So you don't even think that things like that are touched by something that sounds so abstract, right?
Sis, what about getting gasoline? What about buying gasoline and putting it in the car?
Right. You got to do all of that. There's no way around it. There's no way around. There's no way around it. It just doesn't work. You have rights, but they are not absolute. They are subjected to security protocols, or what we say in the law is the legitimate purpose of or legitimate purposes of that particular statute to keep other people safe. You don't get around that. You just don't. And if you are driving without a driver's license and you get stopped, you get stopped, you could get arrested. They may not just give you a ticket, right? Because understand that the people who are doing this, there's a red flag all over FBI, CIA, the municipal police departments. They've all gotten a bulletin about the sovereign rights movement, and y'all are nicely put under a terrorist organization, homegrown domestic terrorists. Yeah,
and that's
because you're advocating for not following the law. You can't. Then what do you expect the government to do in response to that? Just go, okay, that's cool.